Taylor, are you here for Leaders Lead the podcast? Let's go. Hey, how did you beat me? Look, let me tell you about this podcast. We got like 5 seconds. Leaders Lead the podcast is about leadership. Not just the leader without, but the leader within. All of these leaders that I'm talking to across the country, well, across the world now, they have one thing in common, and that's that they have overcome some insurmountable obstacles to get to where they're at today. Come on, let's go. Ooh, every time I see that, I'm like, oh man, that's pretty epic. Welcome to Leaders Lead the podcast. I'm super excited. Today, we got somebody that I am truly inspired by. She is a real estate mogul. She has a podcast. The name of it is called Underdog Podcast, and it's in the top 5% of the world, right? Goals. She is more than all of that stuff, right? More than all of that, like, because she is freaking phenomenal. The thing that I like about Pam is her spirit. She's one of the nicest people that I've ever met, and I'm not just saying that. She's super nice. And welcome to the show. How you doing, Pam?
Thank you. I'm doing great, Tony. Thank you so much for the fabulous introduction. You know, that intro of yours made me want to run through a wall. So let's go.
Ooh, that's the point. That's the point of it. Is to inspire the guests, is to inspire the people that are watching and also the people that are listening. But to inspire me, I'm one of those people. I got to listen to music before I do something. So that's kind of like music to my soul. And also seeing you, I'm super inspired by you today. I want to tell you thank you for doing this, because I know that you're pretty busy.
No, it's a privilege and an honor to be here, Tony. I love what you're up to in the world, and I'm inspired by you, my friend. So let's rock out together. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Before we start, I want to say congratulations on the marriage. I think that is super cool. I've been looking at all the pictures, showing the pictures to my wife, and congratulations. Your husband seems like he's a really cool dude. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a little over 3 months now that we've been officially married. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's like, oh my God, wedding was perfect. Everything was perfect. So I'm just blessed. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, marriage is weird. I've been married for 12 years, and man, it's incredible some of the things that you learn from your spouse, even after over a decade. There's stuff where I'm like, hey, babe, I didn't know that about you. I think that's really cool. So I'm sure you're looking forward to learning more stuff. But today, I want to learn about you. I'm like I said before, I'm inspired by your journey. I'm inspired by the podcast. I'm inspired by the things that you're doing in real estate. I think that you're a brilliant content creator. Like I was telling you before we started, I love those glasses. I think that they're everything, man. I'll be scrolling down, and that'll be the first thing that I'll see. As I'll see the amazing glasses, and I'll see that smile, and it's really good to see somebody else out there spreading inspiration, spreading joy and hope. Have you always been so positive?
My one of my nicknames is Positive Pam. Honestly, it's
Uh,
the truth. I mean, I just, I follow after my dad a lot. So like I'm like the number one daddy's girl. My dad. So all my mannerisms, the way that like my attitude, the way that I am, my like outlook on life, it all stems from my father. He is exactly like we are the same person. It's
what?
hilarious. Everyone's like, you two are like identical. My dad's this like 6'8", like giant with a ponytail. He looks like he's in the like European mob somewhere, and like, but he's the biggest teddy bear in the world.
Wow. You say your dad's like, did you say 6'8"? Did I hear that right?
Yep. Yeah, he's huge, and he's got like a ponytail, and he used to play basketball. He's got this like mean face when you look at him, but like deep down, he's like the biggest teddy bear in all of humanity. It's like, and then he's got this big smile when you actually get him to smile. So everything that I am, I got a lot from my father and my mom too. My mom's a lot more timid and shy. She's very different than me, but me and my dad identical. So like that positivity and all of that stems directly from him, because I started working with him when I was like 10 years old at their restaurant. So, you know, being exposed that young and that early, I would observe and watch everything. And that's just like carried on.
Wow.
I
So
became
that's
positive.
where you learned business from early off from watching your parents, right?
Yeah, yeah, being diving in the business. I wanted to hang out with my dad. So like my parents would work like 12 to 14-hour days because they owned the restaurant. So in order for me to see my dad, I would have to like go to work because otherwise I wouldn't see him until nighttime. And usually when he came home at night, he was just passed out. Took a shower, went to bed, and then
Yeah.
started the next day. So yeah,
Wow. So is that the pizza restaurant? Is that what that is?
yep, exactly.
That's super dope. That's super dope. That's one thing in our household. What we're trying to do is we're trying to show our kids an impeccable amount of work ethic. I explain a lot of things as far as finances. I tell them our wins. I tell them our losses, certain things that we're going through. Because I remember growing up and not necessarily knowing, how much money we made, and that was something that. My mom, that's one of her biggest, she says it's one of her biggest regrets was not uh, teaching us like financial literacy. Is that something that you got at an early age as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, at an early age, it was like, you were thrown into the business world at like 10 years old, right? And that's because I chose it, not because my parents were like, oh, go to work. But I was around money all the time, but I was also around like the immigrant mentality of like the old school way, right? So it's like if you're not working 12, 14 hours a day, you're not working hard enough, right? So it's like the physical work, the old school mentality that like you had to work physically in order to succeed. So I was surrounded by money all the time. And so I think that's the reason why my brain operates the way it does because I see things in such logistical patterns because I've learned it as at such a young age. And so the exposure to it is what really created everything for me, honestly. So I was around it 24/7, but then it was also like, oh, we have these bills. Oh, we have so I was always conscious of it all the time. But I went to a Catholic school, so my ideology about money really was like, oh, money's the root of all evil, rich people are bad, like all of these things that I had to like break through because truly money in the right hands changes the world, right? So,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I like that. I'm gonna use that as a drop. I can see it already. Hey, what? Say that again. Say that quote again.
Money in the right hands changes the world.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I bet your parents are super proud of you, right?
Thank you. Yes, yes, they are. They tell me all the time, but I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm not done. This is just the beginning. We're scratching the surface.
Wow, that's incredible. You say that you're just scratching the surface. I was looking at, I think it was your bio or some online, and it's like, dude, you're making like 8 and 9 figure like transactions. You're just scratching the surface.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I feel it's interesting because like 2021 was a year for me where I mean, even like the past few years, right? It's been for me, I was financially free by like 26 years old. And so through real estate, through doing real estate development, construction, doing brokerage deals, like hustling, all of that. And I got to a certain point and I was just kind of like, well, this is great and I could do this forever, but the only person this benefits is me. You know? It's
Mm.
like, it's time to do more. I heard that little voice inside my head, like, okay, Pam, you're doing great for yourself. Like, what are you doing for the world? You made it to Forbes, you made it to Time Magazine, you did well, okay, good. Good for you. Now what? And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. Well, now what? Right? Because it's like you hustle so hard to get to a certain level, and then it's like, what are you actually doing it for? After that point, you get there, it's like, all right, what's next? So then comes next level. And so next level is all about legacy and impact.
Cool. Legacy and impact.
Yeah.
So when it's all, and I usually ask this question, like this is like the last question, but you brought it up uh, for Pam. When it's all said and done, what would you say that your legacy would be? What do you want your legacy? Like I'm talking about, they're getting ready to drop you in the ground, and say for instance, you're like, hey Tony, I want you to be the person to tell them, this is what I want y'all to remember me by because this is what I did. This is what I laid down. What would that be?
The story would pretty much be my story. That's what I would want. I would want them to be like, this girl went from delivering pizzas to a 9-figure real estate career and then whatever else I come across in my life and changed X amount of lives. And then through her story, even when she's gone, she's going to keep inspiring because her story is going to live on forever through podcasts, through documentaries, God willing, one day, you know, like public speaking, more stuff going on with that. Like my real estate team that I'm building out to teach people how to do what I do and to see them crush it in their world. So like all of these things, like I want ripple effects everywhere, you know, building schools someday. I mean, there's a whole, that's why I said, I was like, scratching the surface is only part of the equation. You know, I have a whole vision of what I want to do for the world.
Wow. That is incredible. Because one would say, and humor me for a second, right? This is my child brain. You're rich.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I love it. Thank
I'm
you for
good.
saying.
You know?
So and here's the thing, and this is where I'm going with this. When I think about leadership, I think about the people, that because in order, I feel like in order to be a leader, you have had to go through some things, you've had to learn some things, and you're not necessarily at the top of everything, but you're guiding things. But what you're doing with the money that you're earning, your vision is, as far as your legacy, is to give to other people, to build schools for other people, to create that thing. So it's not like, okay, Pam was amazing, but this person is amazing through Pam. And to me, I, yeah, we were just talking before where I'm like, man, Leaders Lead the Podcast. We're so much more than leadership, but that is leadership. You're such a leader, and how important is that? Is leadership to you in what you do in your business?
It's everything, right? You know, when you've got the responsibility of people looking up to you, respecting you, admiring you, treating your word as gold, right? Which is everything to me, right? It's everything I've built since I was a kid. You know, I always said this. I was like, you know, one day I'm going to be super successful in business, and then I'm going to be super mega rich. And with that, I'm going to do super awesome things for the world because I can control it. Because with money, you gain power and respect. Power and respect, you gain influence. Influence, you can do well and do good things
Bars.
with it. You know, I used to see people driving in Mercedes and it was like old guys. I was like, that's gonna be me one day. And guess what? I drive a Mercedes and yeah, I've been driving a Mercedes since I was in my 20s, right? And then just like all these things, I used to drive by Harvard. So like my parents, before we moved to Boston, because we lived a little bit north of Boston, you know, I used to drive by Harvard Business School, and I told my parents, I was like, you know, one day I will go there. And my parents like laugh, you know, they're like, yeah, I'm sure you know, parents be parents, you know, they're like, God willing, but you know, it's just, yeah, I hope you do. But like I did, you know what I mean? So what I said I was going to do, I do it. Right. And that's the most important quality of a leader. You can talk and talk and talk and talk and do all that you want. But like at the end of the day, it's what you do. Right. It's
Mm.
about if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Your word is your gold, and it's people before profit. I mean, especially in my business, which is real estate, it can be super cutthroat, it can be super, but like you lead through it, respect and admiring others, and just like pushing them and moving them forward, and just staying positive and staying genuine and authentic. And I honestly think that that's been exactly what's gotten me into this position at such a young age. You know, I just turned 30 November 1st, so
Wow.
it's been a crazy, wild career already. And it's technically 19 years in the game, right? Because well, 20, because I started at 10 years old, right? But
Yeah.
there's so many important elements to what I've done. And I just feel like I've gotten here at such a young age in order to bless other people, to basically tell them what I know, train them in what I know, and continue to take them further. And that's like what I'm shifting to and what I'm all about. 2022 is like building out my team so we can create beasts like me, right?
Oh,
And it's funny because as a young kid, like I wasn't even meant to be an entrepreneur, Tony. I don't know if I've ever shared with you the story and like my breakthrough moment of like how I even stepped into this realm in the first place.
you
Because
looking at my notes?
I'm looking at your notes.
I love it. This is good. Keep going. This is
Yeah.
good.
So literally, you know, I'm in college, right? So my parents, I got almost a full scholarship to Stonehill College as my undergrad. And I'm in the 4-year program. Initially, I went in for marketing, and then I had to take this class, applied calculus for business. And like, I can't stand math. I only like math when it comes to money, addition, subtraction. But you adding calculus into the mix, that makes no sense to me. It's not going to happen. So I was in this applied calculus for business class, and literally, I like can't even lie. Like this was brutal. I had like a 30 halfway through the semester because I just I couldn't understand. This professor was throwing chapters at us left and right. I wasn't understanding the concept. I was trying to do everything I could. I ended up dropping that class.
Mm.
And I felt like a failure because I'm like, damn, I need this for my marketing major, because my plan was go to a 4-year college, and then after that get a job working for someone, and then after that own a business like one day, like when I'm like
Wow.
40 or something. So this was not the trajectory that I was supposed to take, and I want everyone to know, like, this is not like this was a destined plan for Pam since she was a young kid. There's certain things happened in my life that I made the decision, like, F that, I'm moving forward. So basically, there was this was my first felt like my failure moment, because I was like, I have to drop this class. I look like a failure now. I have to change my whole major because I don't want to take this class. Like, I was like freaking out about it as a
That's how
freshman.
I was with stats. Yeah, I feel you.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
stressful. And these professors, like, he was like wasn't a full-time professor, adjunct, so like you couldn't even get him because he was like barely on campus. So I was like, whatever. I dropped it, got into communications, and then I ended up starting this is funny. I was the first one in my school's history to create an entrepreneurship major on my own.
What?
So interdisciplinary studies, I created my own entrepreneurship major in tandem with communications. And so whatever, that's what I did. And even still at that point, I was like, I'm still gonna, work somewhere when I'm done. And so my mind, because I got an internship when I was 16 years old. I never told them I was 16, but I was doing marketing and events throughout the entire country when I was like 16. And they had no idea. They were based here in Boston. And so I was working on like live shows and things like from here at a very young age too. So I loved marketing and events. I loved energy and all of that. Like, I loved music. That was one of my things. Like, I still do. I DJ'd in college. I used to make mixtapes for my dad, and I used to sign them DJ Pammy B. Like, I loved music. So that was my jam, right? So like that was what I was all about. And so with the music and all of that. And so I was like, oh, marketing events, that'll be fun. This will be cool. I'd love to coordinate that. So my dream was to, after I graduate, work for like a huge production like place, kind of like the TD Garden in Boston, like those big sports and event venues. And so like I ended up getting an internship at one of them my junior year, spring semester, so I could get credit. So I was there pretty regularly, and I was like on the ball, and I was so excited, and I was just like hustling. And then like I remember sitting in the cubicle, and like red flags just kept going off. Like, Pam, this is like prison to you. And I'm like, no, stop it. I'm like fighting with my mind, devils on the two shoulders. I'm
Uh-huh.
sitting there, and then I'm seeing things in the office that I just don't like. Like just people just rude to each other, bureaucracy left and right. And then I would be in meetings where like, they wanted participation. So I would raise my hand and participate, even though I was an intern. And then I'd get yelled at. And in my mind, like so many red flags. And even still, I was like, Pam, this is where you want to be. You got to work somewhere when you graduate, blah, blah, blah. Build your connections now and you'll be fine when you graduate. I tell you, like, honestly, the end of the semester, I sat down, and my supervisor, I was like, I was expecting an A, because a kid who goes to an internship every day is like an easy A, right? If you're there on
You would
time, you
think.
do what you need to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
it would be pretty easy. She gives me like a B minus. I was like, what? And she's like, Pam, you were just too ambitious.
Whoa.
Uh,
So they wanted you to stay in your place. That's what it sounded like. You're too ambitious. So that probably was it.
that was the 3 words that changed my life. You're too ambitious.
You're too
And I
ambitious.
remember I was so full of rage and anger for like a minute, right? I left, and then I was like, thank you so much, appreciate you, blah blah. And then I'm like walking out, because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know if you believe in the zodiac signs. Like,
Now, I'm
Scorpios
a
are,
Scorpio too.
yeah, so we're explosive people when we get to a certain level, right? So
Can
like
be.
it can be, right?
Yeah.
But so like I was just like rage, and I'm like walking out this, and it's like, please stay calm, Pam, say bye to everyone, okay? And then I leave the threshold, and it was like this moment where something just lit up, and I just heard a voice. It was like, you got this, go change the world.
Ooh.
And I was like, and then I start stepping into my I don't give a damn phase, is what I call it. Like, I called my parents, both of them, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I love you both so much. Thank you for believing in me. The internship went great. However, just letting you know, I'm not working for absolutely anybody when I graduate college. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't care what I'm doing. I just know that I'm starting some type of business, and that's just that. My parents, of course, freaking out on the other line, like, what the? what did you entering your senior year? What are you talking about? Like, and I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'd rather work 100 hours for myself than to ever give my life to anybody else. I was like, I know I can do so much more on my
Oh,
own. I was like, I'll take that ambition and I will fly with it, you know? And so I'm so glad that I didn't let that moment like crush me, that I
yeah.
actually let it pivot my entire life and let it go where it was supposed to.
Yeah. Maybe she was right. You were too ambitious to work for somebody else. Huh.
Oh,
That's
no, she didn't say it positively though.
she said, oh yeah, she was being a hater. You're
Yeah.
supposed to just go there and color. I gotta say this, and no disrespect to my past guests, but and maybe it could be where I'm at uh, right now with life and building the things that we're building and the things that we're working on. But this is my favorite episode.
You're so awesome,
They're
Tony.
going to kill me for saying that because I've said that before. I think we get better and better. One thing that I like about you and about this conversation is because I believe in talking to people that you can either add value to or get value from, and or which should be the goal is all together, like we're getting and taking value from each other, and that's one thing that we have in common. I don't like working for people. I'll work for our sponsors. I like those kind of relationships, but um I've had people tell me, dude, you're too much. You're too much. Why are you showing up 20 minutes early? You're making us look bad because you're working. I remember at one point in time, somebody said, your uniform is pressed out too much. You're making us look bad. I had a supervisor take my uniform one day and do this to me. And, it's one of those things where I was like, you got 2 seconds to get your hands off of me kind of thing. But the same thing with you in my head, it wasn't I'm too ambitious. It was you're too much. So you're inspiring me right now because all I can think is, yeah, you're right. I am too much. I am too ambitious to succumb to what y'all think I should be. So that's good for the listeners, for the viewers. I want y'all to pick that up, man. That's what I'm getting from Pam. I want you to let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the feedback if you're picking up the same thing or if you're getting something different, because it's art, right? It can be interpreted in different ways. And you might say, Tony, I didn't get that. This is what I got. But this is some good stuff that we're getting from DJ Pam. What is it? DJ Pammy B? Is that what?
My DJ name, my college DJ name. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I was going to ask you, the name of your podcast is called the Underdog Show.
Hmm.
And I've been on your podcast. I love it. I think it is incredible. I love the concept of it. Do you still, and I got the feeling that you do, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. Do you still feel like an underdog?
All the time, all the time, all the time. And that's my life story, right? And everything that I've built, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. And I just do it, period. Like, that's how it was for me, even moving forward in my businesses, Tony. Honestly, like, I didn't know what I was going to start coming out of college. And so all I knew was like the restaurant game, because that's all I knew my whole life. Right. So I ended up starting 2 restaurants by the time I was 21. And shortly thereafter, I'm sitting there working like 12, 14, 15, 16 hour days, working on events, because one of my restaurants was the Charles River Bistro. And we oversaw entire July 4th operations, the biggest food operations in the country, with vendors. And we had the
And
exclusive.
how old were you at that time?
I was like 20 years old. I had a
Okay.
business partner that we teamed up with this. And then I had my own store in West Roxbury, like in Boston. So I had two of them that I was operating by 21. And I just remember, like, I was working these crazy hours and I saw these real estate guys coming out and they're like, oh yeah, we're off for the weekend. And it's like Friday and they just went golfing. And I'm like, are you guys drug dealers? Like, what do you do? Like pulling up in these nice cars and like doing whatever the hell you want. And they're like, oh no, Pam, just make money work for us. I'm like, in what way? They're like, like real estate. I was like,
And you said it that way too, probably,
Yeah,
right?
I literally did. I was like, because
That's
I just
dope.
need to know, be straight with me. Like, I'm not no fluff. Like, tell me what's up because this doesn't seem accurate. And they told me all about it, and then I was just start so intrigued by the game, and I was like, you know what, like I would love to flip houses. This would be like the sweetest thing. And then I'm like, I have absolutely no experience in flipping houses and or real estate. So no construction experience, no real estate experience, like nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm 21 years old and I've got two restaurants. It's like, how the hell am I going to balance and get into this world, right? And but I did. I ended up diving into the industry, trying to go to every single event that I possibly could, then hired a coach, and then that's how I made it happen, you know? So it's like I had no idea how I was going to get there, but I did, you know, and
Wow.
that's what I mean is like that the underdog is like every single thing that I've put my mind to, and I'm like, oh no, this is gonna happen. Because
Wow.
in my world, I'm like, listen, like the universe has got my back. And if you believe in God, then amen to that, because that's exactly what I believe in. That God has had my back like at every single corner of my life, every single day, every single moment, everything that I do is dedicated to that. And it's like, that's why I know I'll never fail. And if I do, it's because I'm meant to go a different direction, you know? So it's like, and I always say this, it's like a metaphor in a way, right? You know, you're going to jump into a pool because you know you're going to float back up.
Hmm.
Why don't you do
Hmm.
the same with your life?
Ooh. Ooh. Bars.
Seriously.
Wow.
It's the truth, right? Like, and I always think about that. I'm like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I know I'm gonna float back up. I'll be fine. You know, if it
Yeah.
doesn't go well, then I go a different direction. If it goes great, then awesome. Like, how scary is it in my world? My biggest fear is literally the fear of regret. Is to look
Wow.
back at my life, sit on my deathbed one day, you know, and be like, oh, I wish I did that. Like to me, that's terrifying. That's even more terrifying than doing things now to me,
Wow.
to think about that moment and sit there. And maybe it's because I've seen it. When my grandfather, you know, when he was at his bedside and he was passing away from cancer, we were all surrounded with him in 2017. And then there was another gentleman who was one of my customers actually, who didn't have any family. And I was by his side when he took his last breath too. And I just, being in those moments, it changes you
Damn.
know, and
You're
you
right.
realize, you sit there and you're just like, is this what it's about? Like at the end of the day, do you really want to sit here and say, I wish I did this. I wish I made more time for my family. I wish I did more. I wish I did, you know, you hear all of these regrets and it's like, I don't want to live like that. Like I want to, when I meet my maker, I literally just want to say, like, and they can he or she will ask me, what did you do with the gifts I gave you on this earth? And I want to be able to say, I did every damn thing.
Oh.
I used every damn gift. Like I exhausted everything. And that's like my goal. Because you never like, I mean, imagine living your life that way. Right. And then you get to the end and you're just like, I wish, I wish, I wish. No. That fear should be worse than what you have ongoing right now.
Oh
That
yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that like makes me like run. Because I'm like, nope.
Even harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man, I love that, man. That is incredible. That I feel like running through the door right now. You got me inspired. I don't even know how we're gonna cut this thing up. Everything that you say, I mean, you actually we could make a book out of it because I feel like I'm getting some. Well, I know I'm getting some good game. What about some of the obstacles that you had to overcome to get to where you are today? You want to speak on that a little bit because I believe, um, especially right now, there's people going through it. There's students, their lives are being changed. There's people, working at companies, their lives are being changed. Owners of companies, their lives are being changed. Some for the good, some for the bad. And one thing I noticed with our viewers, kind of like in the DMs, is always okay. Well, I got this going on. I got that going on. I know that you tell me to keep going. I know that we're supposed to go up against obstacles, but I just feel stuck. Like, what do you got for those folks?
Absolutely. Well, I guess the number one question to ask yourself is why are you stuck? What is making you feel stuck in the first place? And it sounds crazy when you say, but when you really break it down and like verbalize it, you're just like, is it something that somebody said to you? Or is it something that negative self talk and limiting self beliefs that you're telling yourself? Or like what is it that's making you stuck first you got to figure out like what is the root of the problem. Let's write that down,
Yeah.
right? And then figure out how you need to overcome that, right? Like in my world, I was getting left and right, Tony. Like, Pam, what are you doing? Like in the restaurant world, like, what are you doing today? And it was like, you're crazy. And then it's like when I moved into real estate, I had this one guy who was a really respected person to my father. Like he was like he advised my dad on a lot of things. And he found out I was getting into real estate development and in construction and all of that. It happens to be what he does. And so sometimes people's lack of belief in you becomes a bit of a motivation thing.
Mm.
100%, because I remember he told me one thing, and he was like, because one of my stores was an ice cream store. It was like an ice cream cafe restaurant type thing.
Yeah.
And he literally said to me, he's like, "Oh, that's nice. Stick to ice cream."
Stick to
Again,
ice cream.
you're too ambitious, and then stick to ice cream, right? So like these are like things that like people go, "Oh my god, I'm rejected and shattered." And but I like took those in, and I was like, if this, I'm not going to say a bad word, say
Say it. Say it.
thinks
I want to
this,
hear. You can say it.
like thinks this, right? Like how
Yeah.
many other people are thinking this? How many people are doubting me and the fact that I can do this? And guess what? Like I need to break through and show them that yes, I can do it, because then other people will see that they can do it too. I'm like, I'm not sitting down for anybody. And again, like a lot of my fearlessness also comes from seeing my parents come from nothing in this country, because they came here with they had no family, no job security, no apartment, no living situation secured. My brother was a newborn, I was a 5-year-old, and they didn't speak English.
Wow.
And they had like a couple $1,000s. So like if my parents can come here and build such a life for themselves, like I can do anything. You know what I mean? So like that also has a lot to do with my fearlessness and that mentality, along with the regret and whatnot. But it's like I can't let my parents down. Like they sacrificed, they put everything on the line for me to come to this country to be somebody. And what, I'm gonna listen? And you got to think about it. And if you don't have role models in your life that are like that, and you think about it, like God put you on this earth, the universe has you here for a reason. We're all here for a reason. You incarnated on this earth, and you were created for a reason. Why not you? I always ask that. Why not you? Why not you? And it's like at the end of the day, when you're feeling stuck, it could be that you're disconnected from your purpose. So that thing that's bothering you that somebody's saying could just be a trigger to lead you where you're supposed to be.
Wow.
Simply put.
Oh, yeah, you are a Scorpio. I'm the same way. Somebody tell me I can't do something, even if I, even if I was halfway in, halfway out with thinking about it. As soon as you tell me that I'm not qualified to do something, I'm all the way in, because I'm gonna prove you wrong. Oh my God, I'm
Mhm.
gonna prove you wrong. I was gonna ask you, as far as different principles, what principles do you live by, as far as like that maybe got you to the point where you are, and help you maintain your status?
Yeah. So there's many things, right? Like I've always been a very, very, very deeply spiritual person. I believe in energy. Energy never lies. Anytime I don't listen to it, I've always gotten it that, it's like, okay, Pam, you didn't listen. Like here's your consequences. Everything in this life is energy. And I believe in God tremendously. And I feel like I'm led all the time. That's just my world. So everything that I've done has been like, I give the glory to the greatest, who's blessed me in this life. But I mean, it's just been like, man, I don't know. I have so many principles that I live by. Like it's so much. Like like regret is far worse than fear. That's like one of them. That's one thing that I'm just like constantly pushing. And then it's just like this ideology of constant empowerment. Like that's my big thing, is like I'm always moving to the next level. Like it's like I achieve one thing, it's like, all right, cool. Like restlessness, if you will. And so I'm always looking to create and add value and keep going and keep growing, like keep pushing and like keep doing that. And I just love to see people win. Like that's just my biggest thing. Like I've always been a major cheerleader in my life. Like everyone around me, because they're like, Pam, you're so positive. Like, thank you for doing this. And like, I appreciate you because I heard you do this. I heard you tell your story. So I was inspired to do this. Like things like that. I mean, like people keep me going, man. Like I'm inspired by people all the time. Like, it's just love. The relationships that I have in my life are like so blessed by. Like, man, I literally could go on for hours and talk about all my ideologies and all the things I'm inspired by. But truly, I mean, it's a blessed life. And I think that it all comes down to that energy, right? Of like, who are you? Connect with yourself deep down, and then you're gonna attract your tribe and attract your people. And then it's like you'll be connected to your purpose, and you can't. Once that happens, once you find that, you run like you fly, actually.
I believe that. I believe that our purpose is connected with joy. And I definitely see that what you do and who you are brings you so much joy. Thank you. Thank you for that. I mean, because it's contagious. It's
Thanks.
contagious. I'm glad that I woke up and I came to the studio today and drove through a blizzard just to talk to you. This has been
Oh,
really cool. This has been really cool. You're such an inspiration, such an inspiration. And I hope that the viewers, that the listeners, I hope that they reach out to you, like find you on social media, connect with you, and learn some of the things that I've been learning about you, learning from you. What's a good way for the Leaders Lead family to connect with you?
thank you so much, Tony, again for having me today. I appreciate you tremendously, truly. But yeah, I mean, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, either one. Pamela Bardhi, Pamela_Bardhi on Instagram, and let's connect and add value to each other. Let's just make this world a better place, and that's it. Let's all live happy and go crush our dreams.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving us the time and day. Like I said, I know that you're busy. I want to tell you thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think that you're phenomenal.
Thank you so much, Tony. Such an honor. Thank you so much. I think you're phenomenal too. I'm excited.
Thank you. All right. Leaders Lead. Catch us every single week. Podcast we're dropping our episodes every Thursday and Friday, 5 p.m. Be sure to check us out. Whew, that was great. If you enjoyed this podcast, well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you're still here with us, what I want you to do is head over to your favorite podcast and streaming network and give us a download, subscribe to the channel, and also let us know what you think about the show. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something amazing. All right, cool. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, and oh, you know what? Can you do me a big favor
Yeah.
before we go? Would you give me a drop? Like maybe say, "This is DJ Pamela." No, you don't got to say that. Maybe like this is Pam Bardhi. Uh, Anything you want to say? Something fly like real estate mogul. I enjoy Leaders Lead the Pack. I don't know. A drop. You cool with that?
Yeah, good with that.
All right, cool. Hold up. I'll leave and you can say it. And
How long do you want it, Tony? I'll just go. Hey, everyone. Oh, hey, everyone. It's the Underdog Pam Bardhi here in the building with Tony Taylor, Leaders Lead podcast. This is the place for you, my friends, to get inspired, learn how to lead, and crush your life in your dreams. Tony Taylor in the building with the Underdog, Pam Bardhi. So much love.